all the members of the committee are in attendance, and we've got staff members with us as well who will guide us in the business. I'd like to start off with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. If Mr. Thompson will please say the prayer, and Mr. Gray for the pledge, please.
Sure will. Let's bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to live in a county with all the amenities that we have in Horry County, and thank you for allowing us to live in a country with all our freedoms. Guide us and protect us and help us to make good decisions for the citizens of Horry County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Everybody stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Members of the committee, we have an agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second that, and all in favor?
Aye.
I'll vote as well. So we have an agenda. And the first item on this agenda is the Charleston update, and I will turn it over to Ms. Bidding.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm going to, of course, go over the MRF analysis sheet on the Charleston update. We are very fortunate, again, to have a really good month in our sales. Primarily, of course, again, that our prices were up. Just starting with the top on the left-hand side, as you can see, our price for cardboard domestic was up from $118 last month to $145 this month, which was a 22% increase. Our cardboard export was up from $127.49 last month to $148.86 this month, a 17% increase. And our newspaper export was up from $123 last month to $145.26 this month, an 18% increase. So you can see that, like I said, we've definitely seen some major increases in our prices, which has definitely contributed to the large revenue increase that we saw this month.
Dealing in dollars, not tons.
That's exactly right, yes, sir. This was changes in dollars. We did sell about 400 tons more this month. As you can see, the tonnage sold was 2,784.35 tons as compared to last month was 2,394.39 tons. So we did see an increase not only in prices but also in the tonnage that we sold. The average price for the month was $169.27. Of course, our highest month so far. Last month it was $144.06. So bringing the total revenue for the month based on just the material that we sold, $471,306.28. Going down, of course, down a little bit more, you can see the total incoming tonnage for the month was 4,566 tons. Last month it was 4,341 tons. So we did have an increase in the tonnage that came in by about 200 tons. Our tonnage, like I said, the SWA tonnage was 1,671.89. That's almost exactly what it was last month, so you didn't see a lot of change in our tonnage. However, there was an increase in Charleston tonnage. Last month was 2,684 tons. This month, 2,894 tons. So we did see about a 200-ton increase in the tonnage from Charleston. Our rejects are still staying up a good little bit. As you can see, we're not able to send as much back to Charleston. We're trying to get those rejects back to Charleston as much as we can, but we're just not getting as much back. So our reject rate is up a little bit, as you can see. Total reject rate being 26.62%. 20% into the landfill and 6.24% went back to Charleston. If you look under the revenue due to from Charleston, as you can see, the cost share, we have a credit there. This is the first month that, according to our contract with Charleston, we actually had to pay them back. According to the contract, anything over the base market value, which is above the $165 average, we have to pay them a percentage back. And as you can see, since our average price was $169, we did actually have to pay them back this month. When I talked to Mr. Line or whatever, I mentioned to him, of course, this is the first month we had that, and they were kind of excited to see that as well.
Good news for everybody.
It was, exactly. Of course, they still do owe us because there was, of course, due to the increase in the rejects between the reject disposal and the reject pulls, the total revenue still due from Charleston was $9,337.07, bringing the total revenue for the month $480,643.35. Our total expenses being $374,728.10, which is in revenue over expenses by $105,915.25 for the month. So like I said, definitely still seeing things staying kind of in a positive direction. If you move right over to the right-hand side, you can see our total MRF revenue year-to-date, $833,790.67. And our total expenses, $595,983.53, with revenue over expenses year-to-date, $237,807.14.
More along the lines of what the expectations were when we entered into this contract.
Exactly. We've got things moving a little bit in the right direction, definitely because of our price increases. However, I think from what Mike has mentioned, that we've started to see those prices come back down a little bit, though.
Yeah, they dropped, the prices dropped this month about $10 per ton. All indications, Sunoco has made a big buy order for October based on some forecasting models that we look at, and that we do anticipate it going back up a little bit in October. Lance, and to add additional information, is what we might be getting to our original projection. I think a big part of the fact that we're showing 238,000 or thereabouts is because Mr. Knight told them that we weren't going to pay them anymore, and that we were paying them $100,000 to $125,000 a month to haul it up here, and Mr. Knight got that stopped, and that's what's helping us along with these price increases, along with the very fine work that you've been doing, Mike. I know that's been pure hell down there.
Great day at the Merck. That's what we say every morning.
Okay, any questions on this sheet or any of the other sheets that you have with the update? So like I said, we're excited to kind of present this to INR, of course, this month. Anytime we can go in a positive direction, it's always good.
Absolutely, thank you. Very good.
Okay. The next item I have is on the Fair Labor Standard Act, and this is really just for informational purposes. The U.S. Department of Labor, of course, has issued a revision to what we call the white-collar exemptions under the Fair Labor Standard Act, and I'm sure probably most of you are aware of this. Like I said, we're just kind of, like I said, bringing it to the committee's attention. They've moved that exemption from $23,660 a year to $47,476 a year, which is quite a significant increase. We had hoped, and I think many people had hoped that they would go back and maybe do a revision to this as well, maybe not make it quite such a big increase. But last we've heard, nothing else has changed. This goes into effect December 1st. For the Solid Waste Authority, we have 3 positions, I think it is, 3 positions that are affected by this. As it says here, 2 recycling coordinators, 2 supervisors over at the MRF, and 1 supervisor in the unincorporated collection system. And our options with this is to either raise those positions to that level or to make them non-exempt employees, which would also qualify them for overtime. We're taking a look at it. We're meeting with the directors to determine what's in our best interest to do. Of course, none of us had budgeted that kind of increase necessarily to raise salaries or budgeted any kind of overtime associated with these positions by any means. And of course, these positions all utilize extra time, especially those over at the MRF. I mean, those managers very rarely would ever work a 40-hour week, I'm sure, as well as our recycling coordinators. They spend a lot of time in the evenings at presentations, on the weekends, at different types of things. And so, once we make the determination on how we're going to handle these positions, we may have to limit a lot of the things that they attend, cut back on a lot of the programs and things that they're doing as far as the different Saturday work, the different, festivals and things that they attend as well. We can work it out to try to, like I said, give them a day off during the week. Those will be things we'll have to manage. The director may have to manage. So it's going to be making some changes definitely within those divisions. One of the things that we learned, of course, too, and which we were somewhat aware of, but, also with the use of telephone calls in the evening time, that type of thing. Anytime these non-exempt positions, they receive a phone call in the evening, any time they spend on the phone also has to be counted as time, work time. So a lot of things that we're going to have to look at changing and revamping, and
How far below the minimum are the 3 positions right now?
quite a bit,
The 2 positions at the MRF's about 15,000 under
right?
each.
Yeah.
When you say down, you mean had we been paying overtime?
No, no, no. What the law said, basically says is that any exempt employee currently cannot make less than $47,476. So if you have an exempt employee, if you got a business and you got a guy that you don't pay overtime, you pay him a salary every week, and he's only making, he's making less than $47,476, you gotta move him to 47,000, gotta move him up to that number, or either take him off and pay him overtime. That's just plain and
This
simple.
ain't on this government.
That's
Oh,
everybody.
no,
Yeah.
no, I know.
Yeah.
I know well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's,
But
I'm
it
sure,
was designed basically to keep the convenience stores and the fast food places from saying, you're now a manager and I'm gonna pay you
Exactly.
minimum wage, but you're a manager and I expect you to work 80 hours a week at minimum wage times 40. And-
Exactly.
But obviously, it's impacted a lot more than what it was intended
I
to.
mean,
And
it's impacted my lawn care business.
Right.
Yeah.
We looked at moving them up, and we couldn't do that. So then we looked at the overtime on what they were doing now. We couldn't do that, so we just gonna manage them as straight 40-hour employees, and if instead we have to call one in, then we'll just have to pay them overtime, but I think the ones that's really gonna be hit hard is the MRF, and the 2 girls that works in the Saturdays and the events and stuff like that. But, we just have to manage it.
I'm still trying to get my arms around it. Does it have anything to do with, to date or recently anyway, up to recent times? The big box stores, not to pick on Walmart, I'm just using on them as typical. They wouldn't hire employees to work 30 hours a week or more. They would just, because then they were entitled to benefits and they didn't want to pay them benefits. Doesn't have anything to do
It's
with
all
it.
about salaried employees.
Seriously, there were convenience stores that, they were saying, you're a manager at my convenience store, but I'm only gonna pay you minimum wage times 40, whatever that amount is,
Right.
$18,000 or $20,000 or whatever it is. But I expect you to work as a manager 60,
Much as I
70,
need.
80 hours a week. And really, because of that, they were making much, much lower on an hourly basis than minimum wage. But it went from 23,000 to 47,000, so there was a huge jump, which impacted a lot of people that it never would have. And we were impacted too at our business. And same situation that, you either have to bring them up to that minimum level, or they used to not punch a clock, now they gotta punch a clock.
Right.
And every time they answer the phone at home, by law, they've got to report that. I was on the phone for 10 minutes or whatever, so you've got to pay them for those 10 minutes, and then anything overtime is obviously time and a half.
Yeah, I'll give you an example how it hurt people.
Say that again.
I'll give you an example how it hurt people.
Okay.
I got a manager that managed my lawn care business. I paid him salary year-round. We had a set amount, and I paid him salary. So in the wintertime, when we got slow, and he only worked 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week sometimes, he still got paid salary. He got paid as much as he would have been at 40. Well, now today, in the summer, he may get a little bit of overtime, but he's only an hour. And it comes wintertime, he's only gonna get 25, 30 hours worth of work, and that's all he's gonna get paid for. So
Did it lose then?
that's exactly what's gonna happen.
So the employee or the employer has the option of saying, I'm either gonna pay you overtime or I'm gonna pay you a flat rate.
47,490.
what, and that's minimum wage times
That's the
40.
minimum that the government allow you to pay somebody on
They
salary.
just, is that just an arbitrary number, or?
That's
their
one that,
number.
that's one that Obama's administration came up with.
That's their number.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice on that.
You know, and to raise them, I mean, like Nanette mentioned, you know, their duties aren't changing. You know, so how do you justify, you know, giving a $15,000 raise? You know, when their duties aren't changing. You know, that's what makes it difficult. Even if you have two people in the same position, and one may be close to that threshold, or even, you know, near, you don't want to put them at a salary and the other one at an hourly, because now that hourly person has the opportunity for overtime where the other one does not. So you've got to take the position, not necessarily look at the people and determine whether to make it an exempt or not exempt. So it's a difficult situation.
We've got salespeople that were making just minimum wage. So they made 40 hours a week time minimum wage, but the bulk of their compensation came from commissions. Well, now all that's changed too, because you're paying them, then they've got to be eligible for overtime. And, you know, sales agents work whenever the business, I mean, they're at home calling, you know, saying, hey, I got an offer on that place, and it's really caused an uproar in the commission side. Because when you start talking about a commission, and then you got to pay time and a half on what they were making, you got some people that might be making, you know, $90 an hour because it's overtime over because it's based on their total compensation, not what their hourly rate is. It's got to be, and they're making commissions. It's really caused a problem in a lot of different businesses. And you're right, not just the government, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And,
Even golf courses.
yeah, oh yeah, we've got some,
That's why you think I'm asking questions.
yeah, yeah.
Is there any hope that we're exempt?
No.
Okay.
I wish there was.
Do we have mechanisms in place to track those hours, or would it be timesheets or punch clocks or?
Well, and we're just, as a matter of fact, we're in the process of upgrading our time clocks, and we're going to the actual, you know, with the card swipe time clocks that'll automatically feed in. So, yeah, so luckily, we do have a new system going into place that'll hopefully make it a whole lot easier to track. That also allows you to clock in on your phone, from a computer, that type of thing. So especially for anybody that maybe had to work on a Saturday that's not starting here at the building, that maybe has to go to, for instance, our recycling coordinators that are going out to a festival or something, they'll be able to clock in on their phone, that type of thing, to be able to track it. So, because I'm sure, of course, now, you know, they're gonna also be watching reports a lot closer and then that type of thing. So luckily, we are in the process of doing that right now, hopefully have that up and running by first of next month. So we're definitely prepared for it. It's just making the changes.
We had some at the golf course, Dan, that were so close that it benefited us just to raise them to that minimum level,
Exactly.
rather than, because I mean, these guys were coming in to work early in the morning. They were working more than 40 hours a week. And so all of a sudden, it would be a big impact, negative impact to the business to start saying, we're gonna start paying them overtime for everything. It was easier just to adjust them up because they were so close. But you're talking
Right.
about 15,000.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's too
That's
far.
what we had hoped too. We'd hope
Right.
by looking at it, maybe they would be close enough
Right.
to be worthwhile to just do that instead of paying the overtime.
Right.
But you're,
Because that initial number was not 47, it was a lot lower than that, then it got adjusted.
Right.
Again,
When you got your supervisors that come in, they come in at 3:30, because his shift starts at 4. They come in at 3:30, and then they're supposed to be gone, they're currently leaving at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They can't do that anymore. They're gonna have to
Right.
leave at 2.
right,
yeah,
And then you got, I'd say that, and argue in my case, that 70% of the time, the lunch that they get is sitting at their desk
right,
eating
right,
and answering the radio when their name is called. So they really don't get a lunch break either. So now I gotta give them that lunch break,
Make them take it.
make them take it, make them leave the building. Gotta do it, and you know who picks up that time? Me.
You think.
Now, is there, this might be a effort to keep Emma Ruth fully employed, but, if you reclassify someone's position, is there a look back? I mean, do they get to look back and say, you owe me overtime for all those types of things, for the extra hours
not
back
that
in?
I'm aware of.
Okay,
I think we're very fortunate, we only have 3 positions that are affected.
of course.
That's gonna be the tough part at the MRF, is because everything falls back to Rodney and I. So,
Hypothetically, is one of the options available to the employer? Well, I just won't let anybody work more than 39 hours, and I'll increase my workforce or do something. That's one
yeah.
of the options. So you never know the law of unintended consequences. I don't say that was necessarily especially as the labor market tightens, that reduces the amount of options that an employer has to hire people. And you already got a magic box over there with your 5 labor, what do you call them, labor contractors?
yeah.
Labor contractors.
But to Mr. Gray's point, I mean, the unintended consequences, you might have an employee that has 3 jobs that he works 15 hours on, and every one of them, he's trying to balance, either they're trying to balance, so he'll work 45 hours a week for 3 different people, just to, to game, not necessarily game, but to manage the situation for both the employer and the employee.
To Mr. Graves, the duties aren't changing. So I don't think the employees could look backwards
Okay.
because the duties are not changing. The duties still meet the exemption. It's the salary that's changed.
And by law, December 1, are we planning to stick to that? Because I think there's a little bit of flexibility and leeway.
That's what we're planning on, by December 1st, to have it in
Okay.
place.
What kind of leadway is, you heard us on leadway?
I think some people aren't starting until January 1.
Oh, really?
Hoping that the new president will change it if there is a new one.
Well, there's always that hope, but just that, kind of starting with the new calendar year
Right.
with any adjustments that are made normally at the end of the year, starting a new year, that,
Or the regulations go into effect December 1st.
that's what I'm
I'm
saying.
not real sure how they're going to put it off, but
We will definitely start
You
with
could probably
this,
have
if
an
not
employee
before.
sue you and make you pay them for that month if you want, after they left work.
As I start to say, we'll start, if not before, for sure by December 1st. We've already taken a look at the payroll calendar and where it fits, so we'll have everything in place before then. So, just like I said, just for informational purposes, just wanted you to know kind of what its impact would be on the Solid Waste Authority.
Thank you.
That's
It
all I
definitely puts
have.
more pressure on the managers
It
to
does.
manage it.
Exactly. I mean, comp time, of course, is an option, but there again, you have to give it within that same time frame. If they work a Saturday, you have to be able to give that time off during that week.
Right.
So, yes, that's an option, but you're still having to give them time away from work. So, definitely some things we'll have to figure out and work out for sure. Like I said, we definitely,
Saturday works for my supervisor.
exactly, yeah. I mean,
Rodney runs shift 1, I'll run shift 2, I guess.
yeah. So, all right, next meeting, I know Esther, like I said, is not having one in October, but I was gonna see if we could schedule ours for that Wednesday, October 19th.
Does the county council meet next Tuesday or the following Tuesday?
Well, the INR meeting is not until the 27th, but I'm not sure about their council meetings. Don't, they meet the second,
First
thought-
and third,
oh, they're first and
first and
third?
third.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me, I misspoke. I meant to ask, when is the next Solid Waste Authority meeting?
The board
Board
meeting's
meeting?
on the 27th.
27th.
Okay, that's when the INR is.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you say the 19th?
The 19th, is that good for everybody?
And
October
get up.
19th? And what time? Is 3 o'clock still good? We can do it 3:30, we can do.
Chairman?
I'm looking at it. I've got a junior lifeguard situation. Let's see if, I think 3 o'clock will be fine, if that meets with the staff and the other committee members.
And November 16th, if we continue to stay on that same Wednesday. If we do the same time at 3 o'clock, if that works.
I think that'll be fine,
Okay.
if it meets with the committee members.
What was that date?
November 16th.
3 o'clock.
Yes, sir. And then I will check on December. I know usually they do the INR very early in the month, so it may be tough for us to get one in, but I'll check once I kind of know their dates. And sometimes they don't have one. Last year, they didn't even have an INR meeting in December, so,
Thanksgiving and sometime,
right. So,
hopefully they'll,
And our regular meeting is on the 8th, is that
it is.
correct?
Yes, sir, that's what I'm saying. So we may not have time to even get one in, but, and like I said, last year, they didn't even do an INR in December because of the time frame. So we'll just leave December open until we kind of know a little bit more, if that's okay.
Speaking of, November, when's the board meeting?
Board meeting in November
22nd.
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 And I think in December, it's December the 8th.
It is.
And sometimes on that 8th, we do that earlier.
No,
We
that is
we do
early.
it, well, we do it in the afternoon
Yeah, we
instead
do
of
it
in
in
the
the afternoon.
evening.
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
earlier.
we
in
usually
the-
do it about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I
Right.
think it is.
Is the plan to do that again? I've got a board dinner that night, our company.
That works great for who,
Yeah. We can check with the chairman.
we'd love to do it.
I'm fine with it. I think it's,
What time
Not
usually,
my
like,
meeting.
we usually do it like at 3,
December the 8th.
3 o'clock on the 8th. Well, if that, we'll tentatively write that in, but,
you were
Board-
talking about November, weren't you?
No, December,
Okay.
the 8th, yeah, when we normally had done that earlier in the day. I just got a board dinner that night.
Probably would be good to miss that.
No, I need to probably be there. The board meeting the next
Looks like
day is
it'll be
really
good.
important, but with the board dinner, it's kind of, probably need
Try to sugar up on them before you get to
to see if I can have a job the rest of the next year.
and that's all I have.
Any other staff members have anything to bring forward?
What was the, board meeting in November?
December 8th,
I got that down, what,
November 22nd.
November 22nd. I wrote that down for finance, but that's not finance, is it?
November 22nd is the board meeting.
November 16th
November
was the,
16th is finance.
All right, I think we're at the end of our agenda. I get a motion to adjourn,
so moved.
and we are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Maybe gonna get wet and